The file you are about to hear has been thoroughly scrutinized by the Ethics Committee and approved by the O5 Council for release to trusted associates of the Foundation. This is SCP Unredacted. Item number SCP-6408. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-6408 is yet to be contained. Personnel are advised to stay within their respective locations. Description: SCP-6408 is an oracular-shaped hole within the human noosphere, acting as a pathway to a much larger noospheric expanse. This invariably leads to foreign structures entering into consensus thought. These foreign structures are metaphysical in nature, presenting as commands and demands. A subject's mind perceives these as subconscious thoughts and thus are acted upon without the subject's knowledge. Log of foreign structures. Each of these instances resulted in the subjects congregating at the derelict Foundation Site 301. Instance 1. Demand: Screws. Result: 48 personnel began to use their fingers to pull out assorted screws from Foundation buildings. Response: no response. Instance 2. Demand: Steel beams. Result: 13 personnel began to use their fists to punch at the concrete walls. After roughly 72 hours of this, the personnel retrieved several steel support beams from inside the walls. Response: no response. Instance 3. Demand: Cement. Result: 5 construction personnel diverged from a convoy of construction vehicles bringing bags of cement to Site 301. Response: unaffected personnel began to follow the diverging convoy, which resulted in all of them being terminated by affected personnel at Site 301. The cadavers were repurposed for sustenance. Instance 4. Demand: Guards. Result: STF Theta 4 left their positions at Area 140 and walked towards Site 301, taking up defense positions there instead. Response: no response. Instance 5. Demand: Food. Result: 18 research personnel in the staff break room at Area 140 began raiding the cafeteria, bringing it to Site 301 in stolen vehicles. Response: no response. Instance 6. Demand: Wires. Result: 15 Foundation engineers began pulling apart equipment and machinery, collecting bags of assorted cables and wires before heading to Site 301. Response: no response. Instance 7. Demand: Gears. Result: the same Foundation engineers returned the following day, attempting to enter Area 140. Replacement STF operatives attempted to stop the incoming personnel, but were easily eliminated by the attackers, who then proceeded to tear apart more machinery, returning to Site 301 with bags of assorted gears. Response: no response. Instance 8. Demand: Workers. Result: a total of 289 personnel from several sites converged at Site 301. Response: no response. Instance 9. Demand: Electricity. Result: the affected personnel began to hijack Foundation power lines, diverting electricity to Site 301. Response: no response. Instance 10. Demand: Foundation. Result:
Insert information here.
Response:
Insert information here.
Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, join my Discord community, hire me on Fiverr, or help support me by becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month. Regardless of tier, all patrons get early access to every single episode. The links are in the description. I don't have the talent it takes to write a skip. All I do is read. Original authors make this podcast possible, so credit to the original author. Their links in the description. Show them some love as well. Consider becoming a member of the SCP Wiki. Upvote their work and maybe write a skip of your own. Maybe I'll read it here someday. You never know if you never try. The content of this podcast and content relating to the SCP Foundation, including the SCP Foundation logo, is licensed under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0, and all concepts originate from scpwiki.com and its authors. This recording, being derived from this content, is hereby also released under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0.